Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a dramatic story. $65 million vaporized, 157 North Korean tanks enter Ukraine's kill zone. This is not just another war report, it is a vivid illustration of how modern technologies, battlefield intelligence, and strategy combine to turn even large armored formations into vulnerable targets. Over the next several minutes, I'll walk you through what the claim means, what likely happened, the strategic implications, and how this fits into the wider conflict between Russia, Ukraine, and external actors. Let's begin by unpacking the title. $65 million vaporized suggests that a sizable investment, presumably the cost of those 157 tanks, was entirely wiped out. 157 North Korean tanks enter Ukraine's kill zone. Implies these tanks, supplied or deployed by North Korea in support of Russia or pro-Russian forces, marched into an area where Ukraine had concentrated lethal countermeasures, drones, guided missiles, artillery, reconnaissance to devastating effect. First, we need to assess the plausibility. Could 157 tanks be destroyed or disabled in a single engagement or over a short span? In theory, yes, if the defender has overwhelming firepower, excellent intelligence, air superiority or dominance of the skies, and well-coordinated assets like drones, precision munitions, anti-tank guided missiles, ATMs, and perhaps artillery or loitering munitions. The notion that modern warfare heavily favors detection, speed, and precision means large armored formations are no longer the unstoppable juggernauts of old. Second, what do we know about North Korean involvement? In recent years, multiple sources have claimed North Korea has supplied weapons, artillery shells, missiles, and perhaps even troops to support Russia's war efforts. Some reports suggest that North Korea's participation is a strategic move to gain battle experience, secure technology transfers, or strengthen its ties with Russia. Atlantic Council in the conflict zone, there have been escalating claims of casualties, over 1,000 North Korean soldiers reportedly killed or wounded. While official verification is difficult, the claims are widespread. If we accept that North Korean armor made its way into the theater, whether directly or via proxy, then the notion of them entering an area heavily defended by Ukraine becomes plausible. The kill zone could be an area pre-identified by Ukraine with layered defenses, drones for reconnaissance and strike, artillery and rocket systems, counter-battery detection, anti-tank missile teams, electronic warfare, perhaps even decoys and traps. One key enabler is drone warfare. Ukraine has leveraged drones extensively for both reconnaissance and kinetic strikes. Drones can spot tank columns, relay their movement, identify weak points like thin top armor, turret ring, engine decks, and then coordinate attacks with loitering munitions or guided weapons. In many recent engagements, drone operators have identified individual vehicles and flagged them for precision strikes. This changes the calculus. Rather than broad salvos, attacks can be surgical. If 157 tanks were grouped into columns or convoys, they become especially vulnerable during movement on roads, in open terrain, or during staging maneuvers. Another enabler is precision artillery and guided rockets. If Ukraine had drones spotting for its artillery, the margin of error shrinks dramatically. Tanks caught in the open or inside kill zones can be hit on their flanks or rear, where armor is weakest. Combine that with anti-tank guided missiles, especially newer ones with top attack or tandem warhead capabilities, and you have a lethal synergy. Also, terrain and choke points matter. If the approaching tanks had to funnel through narrow passes or bridges or bottlenecks, defenders could concentrate fire and create kill zones effectively. Even if tanks attempted to disperse, the communication, coordination, and pace of movement may have slowed them, giving defenders more time to react. We must also consider losses that are not full destructions. Disabled, abandoned, immobilized, or damaged tanks could be part of the vaporized count. Tanks lacking support, engine or transmission damage, tracks blown, optical systems knocked out, could be left behind, then destroyed later or scuttled. In a modern asymmetric battle, the definition of destroyed is broad. Given all that, what are the implications and lessons from this hypothetical scenario? 1. It underscores the vulnerability of armored forces when facing modern reconnaissance and precision fires. Massed armor that does not have suppression, air cover, electronic warfare, and real-time battlefield awareness is extremely risky. We saw in conflicts like Nagorno-Karabakh, Libya, and in Ukraine itself that drones and guided munitions upend conventional assumptions. Tanks without supporting elements, drones, infantry, anti-air, suppression are prey. 2. Supply chains and attribution matter. Deploying 157 tanks is not trivial. Transport, maintenance, logistics, fuel, spare parts, all must accompany them. If those supply lines are exposed, defenders can target them, stranding tanks. And politically, if those tanks are North Korean, it accelerates the narrative of external escalation and proxy involvement, raising the stakes globally. 3. Using those resources in ill-advised offensives can be catastrophic, not only militarily, but symbolically. If a major tank deployment is essentially snuffed out, it is a morale and propaganda win for the defender. The $65 million vaporized line is dramatic, but even if the actual value or percentage is lower, the perception of a spectacular loss is powerful. 4. The situation highlights a changing paradigm. Wars are now in many ways gun battles of detection, decision, and strike speed. The side that sees first, communicates to strike quickly, and concentrates effects wins. Armor still plays a role, but its role changes. It must operate undercover with reconnaissance support, integrated in combined arms, and avoid being massed into obvious targets. Now, let's examine possible criticisms and uncertainties. The figure 157 tanks destroyed could be exaggerated, part of a narrative, or include non-combat losses. Some may be immobilized or captured, not outright destroyed. The cost figure or valuation may be inflated for effect. Attribution is tricky. Whether all those tanks were truly North Korean, or whether they were captured Russian tanks repainted or delivered via intermediaries is uncertain. The intelligence source, the video or press outlet claiming this, needs scrutiny. In war, disinformation and propaganda are always part of the mix. Moreover, weather, electronic warfare, terrain masking, camouflage, decoys, and countermeasures all play a role we may not see. If defenders set up false routes or target zones and baited attackers into kill zones, the losses could be concentrated. Stepping back, what does this tell us about the broader war? It suggests that as Russia struggles to maintain momentum, it might increasingly rely on external support from countries like North Korea for manpower, weapons, and resources. But that aid comes with risk. If these forces are used recklessly, they may suffer disproportionate losses and political backlash. For Ukraine, such events become proof points. Their asymmetric tools, drones, precision fires, intelligence networks can offset conventional advantages. In summary, the title $65 million vaporized. 157 North Korean tanks enter Ukraine's kill zone is striking, but plausible within the new dynamics of near-peer warfare. If true, it is a dramatic example of how reconnaissance, precision strike, coordination, and risk management determine outcomes more than sheer mass. Armies must now think in terms of sensor-shooter cycles, survivability, control of the information domain, and integrated defense. That's it for today's deep dive. If you liked this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up. Share your thoughts or skepticism in comments, and I'll see you next time with another analysis.